The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Chen walked to the podium. Around her, representatives from 47 species watched with barely concealed amusement. The humans had been part of the council for only 3 cycles, yet they had already become the subject of countless jokes across the galaxy. High Chancellor Vexthor of the Kraith Empire leaned back in his crystalline seat, his 4 eyes gleaming with disdain. The humans were weak, everyone knew it. They wept at the suffering of others. They built hospitals on worlds that weren't even their own. They negotiated when they should have conquered. The human delegation wishes to address the matter of the Volnari slave trade, Chen began, her voice steady. A ripple of laughter echoed through the chamber. The Volnari were a primitive species from the Outer Rim, barely capable of spaceflight. Their world had been strip-mined by the Kraith for the past decade, their people sold across the galaxy as laborers. It was business. It was the way things worked. Ambassador Chen, Vexthor's voice dripped with mockery. Surely you have more important matters to discuss than the fate of a species that couldn't even defend their own star system? Chen's jaw tightened. We propose immediate sanctions against the Kraith Empire until all Volnari are freed and reparations are paid. The chamber erupted in laughter. Even species that had no love for the Kraith found the human proposal absurd. Sanctions? Against one of the 3 military superpowers? The humans had 12 colonies and a modest fleet. The Kraith controlled 200 worlds and commanded armadas that blotted out stars. Your compassion is admirable, Vexthor said, his mandibles clicking in what passed for Kraith laughter. And utterly worthless. The strong dominate the weak. This is the law of the universe. Perhaps when you humans have shed your primitive sentimentality, you will understand. Ambassador Chen stood motionless for a long moment. Then she did something that surprised everyone. She smiled. I see, she said quietly. Thank you for clarifying the council's position. She gathered her documents and left. The other human delegates followed in silence. The council dismissed the matter entirely. Another case of human naivety. Another example of their weakness. Within hours, the incident had become a popular comedy routine on a dozen worlds. 3 days later, Kraith merchant vessels began disappearing near the Terran border. Not destroyed, simply gone. No distress signals, no debris. Just empty space where ships had been. Vexthor barely noticed. Pirates, perhaps. The Kraith Empire lost more ships to stellar phenomena than to any actual threat. But then the pattern became clear. Every missing vessel had been transporting Volnari slaves. 20 ships vanished in a week. 40 in 2 weeks. The Kraith Navy deployed patrol groups. Those disappeared too. On the 18th day, a single Kraith battlecruiser returned to home port, its crew catatonic with terror. The ship's logs showed something impossible. Human vessels had appeared from nowhere, moving with speed and precision that defied known physics. They had torn through the battlecruiser's escorts like paper, disabled the main ship, and taken every Volnari aboard. Then they had delivered a message. We asked nicely. The Galactic Council reconvened in emergency session. This time, when Ambassador Chen entered, no one laughed. You attacked Kraith vessels, Vexthor snarled, his composure shattered. This is an act of war. We freed slaves, Chen corrected calmly, from ships engaged in criminal activity. The Council made it clear that might makes right in this galaxy. We're simply following that principle. You cannot, Vexthor struggled for words. You're starting a war you cannot win. Chen's expression never changed. Chancellor, humanity has fought wars you cannot imagine. We fought ourselves for thousands of years. Wars that consumed entire continents, that killed millions in single battles. We've split atoms and turned cities to ash. We've stared into the abyss of our own extinction and somehow found our way back. She stepped closer to the podium, her voice dropping but somehow filling the chamber. And do you know what we learned? That compassion isn't weakness. It's what we chose instead of annihilation. It's the cage we built for the monster we know lives inside us. Every hospital we build, every treaty we negotiate, every tear we shed for strangers, that's not naivety. That's restraint. The chamber was absolutely silent now. You mocked our compassion, Chen continued. You mistook mercy for inability. So let me be crystal clear. We have 47,000 Volnari safely aboard our vessels. They will be returned to their homeworld. Any attempt to recapture them will be met with the kind of force that our compassion usually keeps leashed. She pulled up a holographic display. It showed real-time footage of human fleets surrounding every major Kraith slave depot. every transportation hub, every auction house. We are freeing them all, Chen said. Every single Volnari, every slave of every species you've taken. You can accept this peacefully, or you can discover what humanity looks like when compassion turns to wrath. Vexthor's 4 eyes widened as more data scrolled across his console. Human ships weren't just surrounding the depots, they were everywhere. Hundreds of vessels that hadn't existed a month ago, technology that shouldn't have been possible. The humans had been building in secret, preparing for this moment. While you were laughing at our weakness, Chen said softly, we were preparing for your refusal. We hoped you'd choose peace. We always hope. But we learned a long time ago to prepare for war. She turned to address the full council. Humanity proposes a new law for this council. Slavery is abolished, effective immediately across all member territories. Species who comply will find humans to be the most loyal and generous allies. Those who refuse, she didn't need to finish the sentence. The holographic display showed enough. The vote was unanimous. 6 months later, the last of the Volnari returned to their homeworld free. The Galactic Council had transformed overnight from a collection of competing empires into something resembling an actual federation. The humans had proven their point without firing a shot in anger. The threat alone had been enough. But across the galaxy, a new understanding spread. Humanity's compassion wasn't weakness. It was a choice. And what made them truly terrifying was how easily they could choose something else. In the council chamber, species that had once mocked now watched the human delegation with wary respect. They had learned the most important lesson about humanity. The same species that would weep for strangers would also burn down empires to save them. Compassion and wrath, it turned out, came from the same place, and humanity had both in abundance.